Ladies and gentlemen, the following is another amazing episode of the Wrestling Fans Podcast, Ringside Society. And today, it's actually a 15 minutes of fandom episode. So with that being said, let's go ahead with our normal introductions. In the first corner, we have the greatest thing on God's green earth. No, we're not talking about money, Mary Jane, or Popeye spinach. He is the triple dart of Ringside Society and Delaware's greatest American hero. It takes two to make a thing go right. He's Rob Bass, and you are not. In the second quarter, we have that ocean crossing, straight up bossing, flight catching, shot glass snatching, always on the go. Catch him if you can. Said his name in Guyana, not love him in Japan. No cap, the worldwide star boy, Remy Blue. And our special guest tonight is a man many of y'all recognize from AEW Rampage. He has so much great fandom for professional wrestling that when a certain superstar made his AEW debut, the voice of the voiceless made his debut, CM Punk, he couldn't help but get emotional. And yes, it happens. You know, it happens to each of us. We get that one moment that makes us shed tears because that's what pro wrestling does for us. That's our love for the sport. So for those of y'all that don't know, this here is Frank from AEW Rampage. He is that fan. No, your eyes are not deceiving you. No, this is not Photoshop. This is no cap whatsoever. You're seeing him right here, right now. Frank, how you doing tonight, sir?
Woo! Oh, I'm great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Appreciate the introduction. I'm doing great. It's been a crazy last few weeks. Gone to a couple of wrestling shows, and never in my wildest dreams would I imagine that my fandom would be recognized and appreciated as much as it has. But I think speak for all the great fans is saying that this is what it's all about.
Yeah, man. Well, here's the thing. We're kind of, so, and man, Rob is probably going to get tired of hearing me saying this, but we always look out for those fans that stand out, man. We always do, regardless of what. And it's not to make fun of anybody. It's because it's to like give them that spotlight, as a reward for their dedication and whatnot. We don't have a big set of money to throw around. We don't have any contracts to give anybody. But what we do have is our platform where fans can actually tell their stories and whatnot. Because what makes wrestling go round besides the wrestlers? It's the fans, all right? So hence the reason why we have this segment here, for the fans to actually, come on here and voice their opinions and tell their stories and so on. So we really and truly do appreciate you actually, appearing on here for us. We actually had some funny story. We had a guy named, and you never know. And this is how you never know where somebody's going to end up. We actually, you got a few people here. Hey, what's up, Alicia, the Warrior Princess? She says you're an inspiration, and this is of course our other mod, the Survivor Queen, Miss Jen. That's our other mod right there. But we actually, so I found a guy. There was a guy named that had a Scooby-Doo outfit on, and I was like, you know what? I didn't care if they were making fun of him or not. What got me was that he actually stood out. He was enjoying himself. And I was like, you know what? I want to talk to that guy. I want to talk to that guy in the Scooby-Doo outfit. He seems very cool. Lo and behold, he ends up agreeing to be on our show. And he tells us that there's two other brothers that are wrestling fans. We were able to get hold of the eldest brother. The eldest brother appeared on our show. And several months after, the eldest brother tells us he's training to be a wrestler now at the Nightmare Factory. Lo and behold, next couple weeks after that, he shows us videos of him training. Couple weeks after that, he graduates. And now he's known as a Diamond Sheik who actually made his debut on AEW Dark. So it just goes to show you never know what just talking to a fan may lead to. But yeah.
Totally. I agree. And I think that's the great thing about wrestling in general is, I mean, yeah, you have to be a good athlete in some respects and whatnot, but the wrestling comes in all shapes and sizes, and and fans, the wrestlers that do it because they love it, they're fans first and foremost. And to me, that's the great thing about, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. It's one of my dreams is, hey, I want to become a wrestler. Too old now, but you never know, exactly what you said. So that's one of the things. Most of these guys grew up just like you and I, just little boys hanging out, watching Wrestlemania, becoming great fans of the sport. And it's a beautiful thing.
Well, you never know. I mean, I was told that because we've recently been interviewing a lot of people from the Nightmare Factory, and they have told us that there were people that were. I'm 38, so I'm pushing on 40 in like a couple of months, not couple months, couple of years. And there was one guy that told us that there were people that were older, that were either my age or older, that were in that class. So you never know.
Exactly. Very true.
Yeah, you just never know. And then I always tell people too, if not as a wrestler, there's other avenues you can go into. You could be a manager, you could be a referee, you could be a ring announcer, you could be a commentator. There's so many avenues you can go into. There's we just had a guy that does the entrance themes for independent wrestlers all the way in Canada. We've there's gear makers too as well. So there's so many like different like parts of that spectrum of professional wrestling that you can actually get into if not as a wrestler.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it's just a matter of how you want to go about doing it.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's
I'm sorry.
everybody.
So believe it or not, the man next to you over there, Rob Bass, he's actually training to be a referee. So yeah. And I'm not gonna say his age. I'm not gonna put Rob's age out there because I'm not trying to get an ass kicking. But yeah, Rob Bass.
Nice.
Yeah,
Man.
he's training to be a referee.
42.
So
I'm 42. So if you can beat that, then go for it.
Yeah. So tell us. So I always ask, like most of our guests, whenever they're on our show, what was the event or the pay-per-view or the show that made you become a fan of professional wrestling?
That's a great question, and it's actually something I told to CM Punk when I had a few-minute meet and greet after the pay-per-view on Sunday. WrestleMania 3. I can remember as a little kid sitting in front of the TV watching WrestleMania 3, Hogan and Andre the Giant. The first match on the card was Bob Orton and Orndorff, but just seeing that huge crowd, so excited for the show, and just seeing the pageantry, and then just leading that that entire night, just leading up from the opening match to the main event was.
Did we lose him? Uh-oh. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, we thought we lost you.
Back. See if I can move.
Okay, we got just a little bit of lag. It happens.
We'll move.
Freaking technology. 3 steps forward, 4 steps
It's all-
back, man. Jeez.
I know.
Oh, you're on mute, man.
Am I on mute?
Yeah, I was on mute. You were
Can you
saying
hear me?
the package.
Oh,
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, you were saying the pageantry.
yeah. I mean, just the pageantry and the spectacle of the show. 90+ thousand fans in the building. Just seeing all that excitement go on for 3+ hours leading up to that main event of Hogan and Andre was just, that's the thing that hooked me, to see like all these people were there for that one event, one reason only.
Cool. Yeah. So that was WrestleMania 3 you were at, right?
I wasn't there. I was sitting in front of my TV. I don't think my mom would have
Wow.
taken me to Detroit from Chicago at the age of, 7.
Wow. Yeah, that was a good WrestleMania. I pretty much enjoyed that one. There was so many, and not even just because of Hulk Hogan and Andre. You had Brutus Beefcake became a good guy, and then he started the barber persona when he started cutting Adrian Adonis's hair. That was apparently the last match for that time. And you had Ricky Steamboat and the Macho Man. Yeah, that was a pretty good that was a pretty good pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and I think that's really when wrestling became mainstream. I mean, that event proved that it could become mainstream, and I think that's when, Hogan was always popular a few years up to that, but that's what really put him over the edge. And to me, that's all I needed. So that's all I needed to say my prayers and take my vitamins.
Yeah. Yeah, Hulk Hogan back then, he was definitely I don't care what anybody says, even though a lot of people, some people like him now, some people don't. They have to give him that due, that if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, I mean, Vince McMahon had a lot to do with it too, but if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, that era of wrestling wouldn't have been what it was.
Totally.
He may not have the best moveset. He may not have the best moveset. His promos may be monotonous, and whatnot. I mean, let's be real. If somebody were to say if Hulk Hogan were to tell somebody, what you gonna do when a Hulkster and his Hulkamaniacs run wild after you, I'll be like, well, I'll just move out of the way. I mean, I'm gonna lock my doors. I'm gonna skip country. I mean, I'll be that sarcastic jerk. I'll be like, Hulk Hogan, whatever your Hulkamaniacs are up to, that's y'all. But I'm just gonna move away, bro. Like, real talk. Like, I understand you're hyped and whatnot, but yeah, I'm a New Yorker, so yeah, I'm gonna be out there, in a minute. We don't stay around for chaos. Yeah, but he was
only in New York.
Yeah, he was definitely right at the right place at the right time when there was nobody else really.
Oh yeah,
so
definitely.
Yeah. So growing up, who were some of your favorites, man?
I mean, aside from Hogan, I mean, again, it's the cliche Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, and as time went on, Bret Hart. But there was a time where I kind of fell out of love with wrestling. I think as I got into high school and you had the new generation era, I missed a lot of that Bret Hart heel run. I missed early Steve Austin before they really blew up. But after I went to college and I had some college buddies reintroduce me to the Attitude Era. I mean, it's obvious it was Stone Cold, it was The Rock, and then even further down the road, I mean, obviously over the last maybe 15, 18 years, it was kind of those independent guys like like CM Punk, Samoa Joe. I was a big fan of Ring of Honor. I kind of fell out of love with like mainstream wrestling. So a lot of those guys that came up in Ring of Honor that are either in, well, a lot of them are in AEW now, but a lot of those guys were I was bigger fan of the Punk and the Danielson, Samoa Joe than I was of your John Cena's, Batistas, and stuff like that.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, CM Punk. He was definitely something coming up. I remember seeing him the first time, and I was like, "There's something about this guy. He's gonna go big," and he did just that. He was getting momentum, then he lost it, and then at the time I was a huge Jeff Hardy fan, and so when Punk beat Jeff Hardy, I was like, you know what? I can't stand that damn CM Punk. His character is stale. He cashed in on Jeff Hardy. He'll never be as popular as Jeff Hardy. And then lo and behold, I guess the man heard me, because that was 2009. I said that. 2 years later, he drops the pipe bomb promo, and it's like, whoa, like he's just like the hottest thing since sliced bread. And even after he leaves WWE, they're still chanting his name, CM Punk, like all at every show and whatnot. And yeah, he definitely made something of himself. I just wish I could have seen him back in the Ring of Honor days, because I heard that he was I knew it was a totally different CM Punk back then. And I remembered his best friend Colt Cabana was when he was when he was Scotty Goldman, and I was like, oh wow, Scotty Goldman and Punk are friends? Wow, okay. And then lo and behold, I looked up Colt Cabana's matches, and I'm like, Vince, why? How could you let this guy just slip through your fingers like that? Like it was. Yeah. I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, living out here in Chicago, we would get the Ring of Honor coming out here every 3-4 months, and we'd see those guys, and for years. And I was at CM Punk's last match in Ring of Honor before he went to WWE, and everyone was crying during that show, even himself. But you're right, like you see some of these guys that you think you see something in, and I think that's what drew me so much to him, because he was more than just like, hey, I'm a high work rate wrestler, I'm going to flash all these technical moves. He wasn't a high flyer. He didn't do a lot of crazy chain wrestling. It was the character. And, let's think about through time. We just talked about Hogan, even The Rock, Austin. These guys didn't do a lot of crazy stuff. It was all in the character. It was all making people believe that you're real. And I think that's what draws people to certain wrestlers, is just believing in their reality.
Oh yeah, that's definitely it. I'm just so happy that he's back in wrestling. That CM Punk is back. What I'm really hoping for, but it may not happen, but it could happen, is a Second City Saints reunion. For those of y'all that are watching that don't know, that was CM Punk's old tag team / stable. It was him, Colt Cabana, and Ace Steel. If you don't know who Ace Steel is, remember that crazy Donald Trump versus Rosie O'Donnell match on Raw? That was actually Donald Trump was actually Ace Steel. But don't get that twisted. Ace Steel's a pretty good wrestler. So I know Ace Steel. It might be impossible for Ace Steel to come back. I think he might be retired. But I wouldn't mind seeing Colt and CM Punk, team for one last time. Maybe go after the tag team titles. That would definitely be a dream come true for me right there.
Yeah, they had a good run in ROH as that group. And you're right about Ace Steel, like very underrated. He had like this kind of crazy wild man character. He had a great feud with BJ Whitmer, who I think works backstage at AEW now, but they had some like crazy match where one of them was bleeding like mad at one of the Chicago shows. But I mean, again, it's like some of these guys never got that exposure But now some of them are getting that on a bigger stage, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I just got one. I just have one more question before I turn it over to Kathy.
Sure.
Hey Kathy, that's our other co-host there. She's the most troublesome of the bunch. But but yeah, but so ever since that night when they saw you, on TV, reacting to CM Punk, um, not just returning to wrestling, but debuting AEW. How have things been for you since then?
They've definitely been different. When I first found out about it, I really didn't want any. I didn't really want to do anything about it, to be honest with you. Like I'm married, I got 2 kids. I've kind of gone about my life as just and not that I don't know if I was ever normal, but just living your typical adult life. And I was a little freaked, a little embarrassed at first. But after kind of like what really got me was, and I brought him to All Out with me this past Sunday. One of my best friends from college reached out to me, and I hadn't talked to him in over 15 years, seen him in just as long. And he says, "Hey, this is you. Hey, it's been a long time. This is so crazy." And I, started talking to him, and it made me remember all the stuff, all the crazy wild things I used to do when I was in my 20s and even in my early 30s, going to wrestling shows with my buddies. And I'm still a fan, but you just have other obligations. And to me, it said, "Hey, it's okay." What it did for me was say, "Hey, it's okay, regardless of who you are, what type of person you are. It's okay to be open about your fandom and open about your passion for wrestling." You know, I think wrestling fans are probably one of the most diverse groups of people. They come in all forms. I mean, you can be rich, you can be poor, you can be tall, you can be short. It doesn't matter who you are. Um, and I was just noticing when we went to the pay-per-view, it was like it's a mix of everybody. And I think seeing that and saying, "Hey, it's okay. I can have a normal adult life and also wear my heart on my sleeve for something I really love." I think it made me appreciate what I have in life. I look at, this is going to sound cliche, but I look at my kids more with love as he's trying to come in the door of my room here. Uh, but yeah, no, I mean, that's what it's done. It's made me the better. And here he is. This is Joey. He loves Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, by the way.
Hey Joey, how you doing? So before I turn over to Kathy, our mod Alicia the Warrior Princess, she has a question here. She was asking, Frank, what were you feeling when you saw 3 new debuts on All Out?
Well, yeah, I mean, I knew we're going off the rails. So I kind of knew Ruby Soho was coming on board. Joe, stop. I kind of knew Ruby was coming. I think we all knew Danielson was coming. My son knows how to unlock a door. But when seeing Ruby Soho earlier in the show, and then getting the double whammy of Cole and Danielson at the end, I mean, I need to go back and watch the pay-per-view like as if I'm sitting in my living room, because you miss a lot of stuff when you're live, especially if you get up and use the bathroom, get another beer. But just the energy was just out of this world. I mean, I've been to probably 50, 60 wrestling shows in my life, and that was easily the most insane show I've ever been to. And I've been to some crazy events.
Cool. Yeah, I probably would have been. The energy probably would have been crazy if I was. I probably would have felt that energy if I was there. and I saw all those debuts, and not even just the debuts, just the card in general.
Oh,
It was like amazing. I
you,
was like, what? Like,
you
I
knew
was
when you were
so,
sitting there, you saw something special. You really did. And seeing all those guys debut in one, it's almost like you knew things were going to get better, but this was like just a whole new chapter in what this company's going to do, I think. And it'll be
right.
amazing to see where they go from here, especially in about 30 minutes from now.
Oh yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Kathy because I know Kathy has a couple of questions for you, and then Rob's gonna ask a couple as well. So Kathy, go ahead. The floor is yours.
All right, thanks, Remy. Hey, Frank, how's it going today?
Good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Had to rush home from work. Didn't even eat dinner yet. Had to come say hi.
Oh, appreciate it.
So here's the important question. You said you went to All Out. You were in there in person. Did you cry again when CM Punk came out?
No. I mean, I got to meet him after the show too.
Awesome.
That was pretty wild. It was only it was maybe like a 4 or 5 minute conversation. That I'm surprised didn't do me in. I might have made a joke about crying again, but no, I did not. I might have cried for Bryan Danielson though. I'm not very picky when it comes to my tears.
Yeah, unfortunately, I cried for him when he had to retire, and that was one of the times I did cry, and that was pretty sad. But glad he's back and he's flourishing, and he's in AEW now, so all good for him.
Definitely.
So now the when you got to meet CM Punk after All Out, was that what Tommy Dreamer had put together? Because he was trying to look for you hard, like on Instagram and Twitter and all of social media, and he wanted to invite you to meet CM Punk for a meet and greet.
Yeah. No, good question. I He's the one that I think kind of kicked it off initially. But I think the Tommy Dreamer thing was a little separate. I know he mentioned wanting to take me or bring me out to Bound for Glory in Vegas in October. So we did get in touch about, I don't know, a week and a half ago. I'm still waiting to hear back on how that's going to shake out. But, I think was more on the AEW part, but Jeff Jones, is like their director of, I think it's digital. He used to manage Mike Awesome and ECW Judge Jeff Jones. He's the one that I kind of was put in touch with and got the tickets. But a crazy experience. When this all happened, I said, I don't need anything. And I really don't. I mean, just the fact that I was a small part of like something great was enough for me.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. You said like you have kids and you're a family man and stuff like that. You kind of didn't want to get on social media, but after that happened, what made you want to? Because you're on Twitter now, at least that part of social media. What made you want to get on social media?
I think it was just knowing that, because and my impression of social media has always been really negative. And maybe that's only because I see the negative that's put out elsewhere. Um, but and so that was always my reasoning. All I hear was negativity. You go on message boards for wrestling fan sites. I go on those and this and that, and all you see is negativity. I just didn't want any part of that. But after seeing like all the positive that came out of it, I said, all right, maybe it's not that bad. It's just that, it's just that loud minority that's going to make all the noise. And to see everyone come to my defense, whether I needed it or not, was pretty awesome. And I think that's where I said, okay, it's not so bad as I thought it was.
Yeah. So how many friends do you have now? Did it skyrocket since you made Twitter and people found out who you are?
The followers, yeah, I don't know, it's like 2,600 or something. I don't know if that's a lot or not.
Wow,
I barely know how to
that's good.
hashtag and at people, and I don't know. Honestly, I screw it up half the time anyway.
Yeah, that's a lot for being new to Twitter. That's a big jump.
Oh,
To not to make
okay.
I can
Yeah.
kind of relate with you a little bit because like in 2016, Chris Jericho had read my tweet on Raw. During
Okay.
the highlight reel, that was my tweet that he read, and in like 2 hours, I had like 500 followers.
Oh my
So
goodness.
it was crazy. Yeah. So 2,000, like close to 3,000 people in such a short time. Yeah, that's huge.
Oh, that's
So on
wild.
the other side of the token, you kind of mentioned it. Wrestling Twitter in general like is very toxic, or just Twitter in general is very toxic. How did you deal with like all your haters? You just brushed it off and was like, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, ever since I actually created an account, I think I only had like maybe one or two kind of somewhat negative reactions, and I think one person I kind of told off, but pleasantly. The other one I just ignored and blocked them. But again, maybe I'm not reading it in Twitter. Maybe it's good that I'm Twitter ignorant and social media ignorant. My wife tags me in all the Facebook posts with our family, so I don't even know how to do that half the time. I think ignorance is bliss when it comes to social media.
Yeah, the best thing to do is to block them. Like, don't even engage because they really just want
Sure.
attention. And if you don't give them attention, they don't get what they want. So just block them and don't even think
Right.
about it. So you're doing the right thing. That's good.
Oh yeah.
And you being,
Thank.
at a good age too, like that comes with experience and like maturity, and you don't engage in like fights with people on
Right.
social media because you are mature enough to know better, and some people don't. So you're doing the right thing.
Wait
It's
a
pretty
second.
good.
I need to freeze that moment where you said you are mature enough. My wife heard that, she'd lose her mind. Uh, no, but I get where you're coming from. Exactly. It's not the most important thing to me, and that's why I was kind of skeptical about even doing anything about it in the first place. Um, but yeah, I really don't even have time to engage in that to begin with. So I'm fortunate in that respect.
So you said you were a fan of CM Punk like way back from Ring of Honor. Did you follow his career in WWE? And then of course
Oh
he's
yeah.
in AEW now. Yeah, so like
Oh
the
yeah.
Straight Edge Society, like everything he did in there, the pipe bomb.
So when he signed with WWE and he debuted on the ECW show, I had a group of like three other friends from high school that we all watched wrestling, and they knew I was a big CM Punk fan. Um, I was telling them all when he was on the ECW talking about competition. I'm addicted to competition. They were ragging on me because they're like, oh, he's going to be all over the CM Punk train. I'm like, no, man, this guy's going to be something good. And they give me the hardest time. So yeah, there's not probably a moment in his career from like, I don't know, mid ROH on that I haven't really followed.
Yeah, I didn't get to see his stuff in Ring of Honor. He was actually in TNA at one point too, I think.
Yeah.
But I saw like most of his WWE career, and I became a fan of his too. And he's actually the reason. So I took like a break. I've been a fan. Like I gave my age a while ago. I said I'm gonna be 40 in November. Been a fan since I was like 5 years old. So like a good 30 whatever years. I can't do math right now, but 30 something, 30 plus years right now. Being a fan, seen everything, watched everything there is, and I took a break from WWE. Like I'd read the results after it would happen, like on Raw and SmackDown. For a few years, I didn't even watch it. I just turned it off, and I would read the results and stuff. And it was CM Punk's pipe bomb that brought me back to watching it religiously.
Nice.
Like part time, full time. That's what brought me back to wrestling. And I have him to thank because I mean I wouldn't be on this podcast. I wouldn't have met all my friends, on Twitter. Getting back into wrestling and that kind of thing. I wasn't like I didn't stray away too much because I was still watching like WCW and TNA and stuff like that.
Right.
But it was like WWE was kind of like blah, and I was like, so I kind of kept up with it, reading the results and seeing what I was still a fan, but I just wasn't watching it, religiously like I do now. And then kind of now I can't even tell you the last time I sat through Raw all 3 hours. Like I don't watch Raw anymore. I watch SmackDown and I watch a little bit of AEW and I watch Impact. But I watch Raw every now and then, but I haven't sat through, like I just can't sit through the whole 3 hours the way it is now.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah, CM Punk was the one that brought me back to wrestling. So if I ever do meet him one day, I have him to thank for, and I'll tell him that and be like,
Definitely.
"You brought me back to wrestling."
Honestly, he's what him and Samoa Joe. They had this trilogy of matches in Ring of Honor. There was a time where Raw and SmackDown were pretty horrible in the early 2000s after the invasion thing died down. If it wasn't for their matches, I probably wouldn't have watched any wrestling. I think that's great about all these different companies is, especially with AEW getting bigger, Impact's doing a lot better now. They have the right people there. I can just read the results of Raw and SmackDown, and if something looks good, like you said, I'll be back. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, wrestling's flourishing right now, and it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. And if you don't like AEW, if you don't like WWE, there are alternatives like wrestling.
Definitely.
You will be well fed wherever you go. Like there's something for everybody.
Definitely.
Especially with the Forbidden Door got bashed in, and there's like Impact's working with AEW and AAA and New Japan, and it's pretty good. Like it's a good time to be a wrestling fan, no matter what you watch. So, what other have you cried at other events? Just not been on camera for them.
Actually, it's funny because let me think here. Well, 3 for sure. 1 you guys saw. The second was when CM Punk left ROH, and the 1,000+ people that were in the building at his farewell show were all crying. I wanted to find the DVD I had because I had front row tickets to that. It was in the small field house, but he came out. As soon as he came out of the curtain, he was bawling his eyes out because he knew he was leaving Ring of Honor. And the moment he came out and we saw him crying, everyone lost it. So I'm probably in, like, as he's walking around the thing, I'm probably in there somewhere. So I got to just find it. And then the third time, when the Cubs finally won the World Series, this might have been the worst tearful experience in my life.
So, what other wrestlers are you that passionate about that you would cry for them too? Not just CM Punk, but like who are your favorites?
I would have to say, besides him, I'd say Bryan Danielson. He's easily one of my favorites. I've seen so many of his matches in person. I think he's just one of the greatest. Like you said, when he had to retire, it was pretty gut wrenching. But I say Punk, Danielson. That might be Jericho is another one. I got to see him debut at Raw on August 9th of 1999 at the Allstate Arena in Chicago, Rosemont, Illinois. That was one of the greatest events I'd ever seen too. He's another one that I think, watching him for 20 some years, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, he's awesome. To tie with that, Alicia had said something, Remy put it up, but she said the Jericho match versus MJF was incredible. What were your thoughts about when Jericho saved his wrestling career and continued to wrestle?
I thought that was amazing. I had this feeling he was going to win somehow because I didn't think that it was set up right for him to quote unquote retire. And I play armchair booker all the time, so that happens when you read the dirt sheet so much, but you just become an expert. No, I thought the way they restarted it to get him the win, I thought that was amazing. It turned a good match into a really great ending. So yeah, it was very, very it's a very satisfying ending, to say the least.
Yeah, we do a prediction. We did a prediction show for All Out, and that's what I said too. I was like, Jericho's not ready to go yet. He's gonna win, and sure
Yep.
enough, he did. So I was like,
Yep.
yay, he's still here.
Yeah,
But
I
I
did
think
get. Oh,
I
go on.
think when he's ready to hang it up though, I think we're not gonna see that's not the last of him. Like he's gonna be a commentator or he's gonna be like a booker backstage. Like
Yeah.
he's not gonna just take off and be like, okay, I'm done with wrestling. Like no, he's gonna still be there in some
Yeah.
capacity.
Yeah, he might go on a tour or two with his band, but I totally agree. Like it's the same with Punk. Like I figured he'd come back someday. It just took the right thing. And Jericho, but these guys were fans first and foremost, and it never leaves your blood. I mean, it's the same as us, you know. Like maybe you fall out of love with something for a while, but if it gives you the right hook, you'll be back.
Yep, and that's what we talked about earlier. Like the CM Punk pipe bomb brought me back, and I think I was had it on like in the background, and I was just like, wow, like I gotta come check this out. Like moments like that is what brings you back as wrestling fans.
Sure.
I was actually like for the whole Jericho thing when he read my tweet, I was sitting in this spot on my computer. I had my back turned, like the TV's back there in the living room, like this is my kitchen, and I heard I heard Kathy Blue 70517, and I just kind of shot out to this chair and went run in the living room. And I was like, oh my God, like people were texting me, they were tweeting me, like for the next 2 hours, my life was just crazy. And there were some haters,
And
that got on Twitter and they were
that's how
like,
I
oh,
actually met her.
yeah, that's how
Oh
Remy found me.
wow.
Yep. So when he talks about, like 15 minutes of fandom, the fans that stand out, he saw my tweets and stuff and he was like, who's this? I got to talk to her. And I was like one of the first ones on 15 minutes of fandom. Well, it wasn't for Ringside Society. It was for a different podcast that Remy was on. But yeah, I was like one of the first ones. So that was pretty cool. But just wanted to say thank you for coming on the show before I turn it over to Rob. And you handled everything really well with the way people were trying to treat you and stuff. You didn't let the haters get to you, which is good. And, just bravo to you for being a wrestling fan and being passionate about something. Heaven
And to
forbid
you
we're
as
all
well.
passionate about something, So good for
Hey,
you.
yes.
Crying is a good thing when it's happy tears. So
Yeah, no, exactly, if we could all, if everyone could be as fortunate enough to love something as much as we do.
exactly. And I'm glad, they showed you on TV. That was a great moment. And don't let the haters get you down for doing that. Like, real men cry. So there you go. Especially if something's passionate. You're very passionate about CM Punk. Love that moment. It's going to live forever in time. And you're a great guy. So thanks for coming on the show.
Oh,
It's been a
thank you much,
pleasure.
Kathy.
All right, Rob.
All right, sweet. Thank you, Kathy. So what's going on, Frank, man? How you been? How's your day been?
Good. Oh, just wonderful. Worked my 9-hour corporate America job. Dealt with some dinner for kids. Just living the dream.
Oh, that's cool.
White picket fence.
Hey, man, did y'all eat chicken nuggets and macaroni and cheese? You know what I mean? Was it the actual kids' meal? You know what I mean? Like, man, that's what we doing tonight.
Leftovers.
Leftovers.
Too lazy to do that.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I know about that. I know there were some nights, my mom and dad, they were like, yeah, we ain't cooking. We're cutting up hot dogs, putting it in baked beans. We're having beanie weenies. So that's dinner. You know what I mean? It's like, all right.
You're making
kids
me
in school
hungry
gonna hate
now
me
for round 2.
That's right. Hey, I haven't eaten dinner yet either, man. I'm thinking after this, I'm gonna definitely order something or make something. I'm gonna find something. Get my grub on.
Definitely.
So, yeah, man, yeah, like we were saying, yeah, man, look, crying and stuff on there, man. You see this poster right here, this movie on here. You know how many times I've cried to this movie at the end? You know what I mean? Even think about, like a robot, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, yeah, I do that all the time, you know what I mean? Maybe not sports stuff, but movies, TV shows, books. Oh, man. There's a Disney movie, Where the Red Fern Grows. Oh, I can't watch it.
Oh,
Oh,
forget
man.
it.
The first 15 minutes of Up. Yeah, the first 15, 20 minutes of that movie up. I cannot watch that. I refuse to watch that movie just because of that. I was like, oh, I can't watch it anymore. Yeah, I can't do it. I know how you feel, man.
Disney will do it to you.
Oh yes, they're bad for it. Like, oh, come on, Disney. It's like I like the Marvel movies. How you gonna do that to me, man?
Yeah.
So after the show or whatever, you gonna catch some AEW or whatever? Because I heard isn't it the Murder Grandpa? Isn't he fighting Moxley?
I
forget what his
yeah.
I forget what his name is or whatever. I just
is it Minoru Suzuki?
yeah. I'm not familiar with New Japan like that, but man, when you hear the name the Murder Grandpa, you know what I mean, like, yeah, that's somebody you ain't gonna mess with. I mean, that's like a badass nickname, Murder Grandpa.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll probably check it out. I probably won't watch it live just because I'll have to be a dad for an hour or so. But yeah, it'll definitely be on. My wife will be watching something on her phone because she can't stand watching wrestling. Although after the last couple of weeks, I think she's starting to get more into it, especially when she found out Jungle Boy was Luke Perry's son, and she's a huge 90210 fan.
Oh man, I was gonna say because
in the background she just said, "Don't be talking about me."
I was gonna say, we're all about the same age and stuff. So yeah, I remember Luke Perry's love and stuff. You know, what I mean, from back in the day. Luke Perry and what was the other guy? Brian Walsh. Brian Walsh. That was his character.
Brandon Walsh.
Brendan Walsh. Yeah. That was him.
Jason
Brian Austin Green.
Don't get into trouble there.
Yes, Jason. Yes, Priestley. Yes. Yeah, I remember them. Yeah. Hey, I got the sideburns. You know what I mean? So hey. That's all. Yeah, I know. Oh man. So a month ago, man, if somebody would have came up to you in a month ago and be like, you are going to be like, I guess, would you say a meme or whatever? You know what I mean? You're going to be up there with the likes of, Ms. Girl, Mad Ms. Girl, even Lizzie, Izzy, Bailey Superfan, the guy that was like, still real to me, damn it. I mean, what would you have said? You'd be like, are you crazy? Like, get out of here. Like,
probably. I think I probably would have said, there's no way that's going to happen. Like, or I would have said, I don't care. I don't care what anybody thinks. But it definitely was a shock in the beginning. But again, like I think just embracing it again, and like going back to what we said earlier, is it's cool to be a wrestling fan.
Mm-hmm.
Again.
Oh yeah. That's all. Yeah, I know. Now you were mentioning, your son also likes wrestling stuff. Is he down? And your wife is like, So are you all like, is your whole family wrestling fans? Have you taken your son to any shows or anything?
So my son is 6. I was actually going to take him to Rampage, which probably wouldn't have resulted in the tears because I would have been more worried about him. But no, he's 6. My daughter's 8. My daughter was really into WWE a couple of years ago with like Bailey and Sasha and all that stuff. So she was watching a lot of the Mixed Match Challenge on the network. So she was really into it for a while. When AEW started, my son was really into dinosaurs. So I showed him Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. So now after this happened and I was shown on TV, they're starting to get back into it. So the first thing my son said to me is, I got home the next day from the All Out, and I had gone with my buddy to the hotel after the show because he had a room there and all the wrestlers were staying there. So I took a picture with Jungle Boy, and I showed my son, and he's like, "Dad, next time you go to a wrestling show, can you bring me with? And can we meet Jungle Boy and take a picture?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like that ended me right there. So I was like, I think you're going to see a lot more fandom in this household, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome. About that age, I was into dinosaurs too. Dinosaurs and sharks. Yeah, I was like, just give me everything dinosaur. Yeah. Oh yeah, man. He thinks meeting Jungle Boy will be awesome. Wait till he sees Luchasaurus come up there. Oh man, he would be like, oh man.
Yeah, for sure. He's a big dude too.
Oh yeah, that's right. Now you're talking about bringing your son, to shows and stuff. I remember growing up. My brother, he used to be a wrestling fan when we were younger. In ECW, I'm in Delaware, and ECW, and Philly's like an hour north of me. And they used to do shows around here all the time. And my brother at the time, he was like, I don't know, 10, 11 or whatever. I'm 16, 17. I'm taking him to these ECW shows and stuff. And my mom, she would never let us go. She would never let us go to Philly. Like if they came around here to a college, high school or something, it was like, all right, yeah, y'all can go. But when I was like, hey, we're trying to go to ECW Arena or whatever, it was like, you are not taking your 10-year-old brother up there to ECW Arena. I'm like, oh, Mom, come on. Why you got to be all, man? Come on. Now hearing the stories and stuff, I'm like, oh, thank you. Oh, man. Like, woo.
Yeah. No, I went to a show there once. It was a double header with us. It was CZW and ROH, and they had a promotional feud between the two. And they had a double header show. Like ROH ran in the maybe late afternoon and CZW at night. It was like 8 hours of wrestling with like a small intermission. And I mean, CZW was bringing out weed whackers and chainsaws and going into the crowd. It was an absolute chaotic disaster, but it was beautiful.
That's right. Speaking of my brother and stuff, he's stopping by and all now. So if you hear my dogs in the background going crazy, somebody just pulled up and they're acting fierce, trying to attack somebody or whatever. So now I was listening. I was on the internet or Twitter or something earlier. I think it was today or yesterday. And somebody posted a picture. It was like old school video store. What I mean, looking at the wrestling section. It was like Friday nights. And I remember somebody on there was like, I could smell this picture. I'm like, I can too. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if people. Yeah, you can smell pictures. They just bring that back in there. That popcorn. Blockbuster smell. You're just like, oh yeah. Does that get that to you? Have you ever see that? Pictures like that? Or you ever like, oh, I can smell this picture?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Now, were you ever the one that like going to rent videos? Were you ever the one over there like buying renting the video wrestling tapes?
Oh yeah, we had this video store. Now it's my dog's turn. She's scratching. We have this. We had this video store down the street from my house. This is when Blockbuster was big, but it was one of those like independent video stores that had all the old wrestling tapes, like VHS. So my buddy and I, we would go and, if it was like a Friday night or whatever, and this is before we were probably of drinking age and could go out, we'd go and get like 3 or 4 VHS tapes and just throw them in and watch all the old, whether it was WCW pay-per-views, WWF. Tons of fond memories doing that.
Yeah, I remember I used to have this little video store, like right when DVDs were getting popular, they were selling, the VHSs for like $1 a piece or whatever. I remember I stocked up on so many of those, like, oh yeah, man, I remember Laserdisc, them giant, remember those? I was like, yeah, that failed, I was like, DVD, I'm gonna stick with VHS. I'm gonna stick with what I know. Now it's like I have to go search them somewhere, but I probably still have those things somewhere. They probably still work too. I wouldn't be surprised, man. VHS. They're
you just need to find a place to play them.
Yeah. Because I don't have a VHS player. My mom and dad, they had the one. They had one where you press eject, and nobody knew how to do to fix the time on there, so it always blinked 12. And you hit the thing, and it come out the top. It was a top loader one. It wasn't those ones, it was a top one. I was like, oh. Oh man. So I do got to ask, man, before it's football season and stuff, man, are you, you rooting for your Bears? Because my dad, he's a Bears fan, man. So, man, what do you think the Bears are going to do this year?
Oh, I'm sorry to hear it. Has he been a Bears fan his whole life? He's probably a lot of heartache over the last.
He was a Baltimore Colts fan until they left, and then then he hates the Colts. Till now, to the day he died, he's going to hate the Colts. So. And after that, he was like, all right, Walter Payton's my favorite player. So,
Sure. Yeah. I have a love-hate relationship with the Bears. I like football. I like the NFL in general. Mm-hmm. So I just like to watch good games. I'm hopeful about the Bears, but like so many other Chicago teams, have had terrible ownership over the years. Mm-hmm. And so I never get my hopes up too much with them, but they could be good. They got a good young first round quarterback they drafted. If he gets out there and plays, and he's good, we could have something special here.
That's pretty cool. Now, I do want to ask, man, about being a Chicago Cubs fan. Have you ever been to Wrigley Field, and what is that? What's it like being there? Because seeing that ivory on the walls and stuff, man, that's one of those ballparks. Like, I want to try to get to and watch a game. I don't care what the Cubs are doing. I don't care if they're dominating. I don't care if they're at the basement or whatever. I want to go to a Wrigley Field game. Like, I want to see that.
It's funny because 2 days after I went to Rampage, I went to a Cubs game at Wrigley
okay.
Field. So I've been to a good portion of Cubs games. You're right though. Like, it's one of those bucket list. You don't even have to be a fan of the team. You probably don't even have to be a fan of baseball, to be quite honest with you. They've done a lot of renovations around the ballpark, so it's almost like a mini town, like it's almost like a mini party. I mean, it's pretty sweet. There's a lot of bars, restaurants, just fun things for people to do. But you're right. It doesn't matter who the Cubs are playing, if they're good or bad. Just to kind of go there, have that experience, have a hot dog, a cold beer, and then just kind of hang out in the area. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, because another one, even though, I'm a Baltimore Orioles fan, and I'll admit that on air. You know what I mean? I don't mind it, my whole life. So, but the Boston Red Sox, I like to go to Fenway Park, man. Like, I want to see that, the Green Monsters. Like, all right, yeah, I like to check that out. That's another one I'd like to go to.
Yeah, me too. I've never been, but Baltimore's got a really nice ballpark, and I stayed at a hotel right outside the ballpark that kind of overlooked it years ago when I went to visit family, and it's a beautiful park. That's even a cool place to see a game, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's I've been to a few games there. I've been to a few at the where the Phillies play and stuff. They're both pretty nice. I went to old school Veterans Stadium when just before they tore it down and stuff. And I remember there was so many cats. There was all these cats, stray cats out there. And I remember asking my uncle about that. Like, so with all these cats around here and stuff. No. And I remember like a couple years later, I was watching ESPN. They're doing a thing about like the Eagles or something. And they had John Gruden on there. And he said, man, I got there first and there's like all these cats around Veterans Stadium. I remember asking people like, what are all the same? I'm like, I asked the same, like, well, I want to hear the answer. And he said he asked somebody, and the dude told him, he was like, well, we have all these cats. Do you want rats or do you want cats? That's why we have all these cats. He was like, all right, you know what I mean? Here, kitty. I was like, all right. I was like, there you go.
Beautiful point. That couldn't have said it better.
Yeah, because I'm like, oh, all right. Usually you don't think about that because I've been to stadiums nowadays and they're like, they're nice. I haven't seen any stray cats around, so I guess they keep up with it, so. But yeah, man, before I pass it on back to Remy, I want to say, thank you, for taking time out of your busy schedule, come on, chat with us, man. It was a blast to talk with you and all that stuff, man. I hope, you get to see more, awesome AEW shows, wrestling shows, man, all that good stuff, man. I hope the fandom, continues to spread through your family like wildfire, all that good stuff. And I wish nothing but the positive things for you and all your family and stuff going forward, man.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, for all of you guys, this has been an absolute pleasure. So I love doing this. This was great.
Oh, yeah, no problem, man.
Frank, thank you very much for this opportunity. We really and truly appreciate it. This is one of the things that we actually live for in terms of having this podcast, is just having fans like yourself that show that dedication and whatnot. And, like I said, it was great seeing somebody show that emotion. Trust me, I'm sure everybody has actually had that one time when they've shed a tear during some point. Like I said, I'm not going to lie. When Shawn Michaels lost his smile in 1997, I almost shed a tear too. When Owen Hart passed away, I felt that to my soul. I was like, yo, so I understand where you're coming from. And, anybody that's gonna make fun of that is pretty much, they pretty much don't know what it is to be a wrestling fan. And they pretty much don't know what it is to be a real wrestling fan. They must be somebody that just happened to see a show, and we're happy to see that picture of you. We're like, oh, you're crying over something. I'm like, okay, but don't y'all cry over movies too? Like, don't y'all cry when or get upset when one of y'all's when your favorite character dies? Exactly. So I mean,
Yep.
there it is. So yeah, but thank you very much. We're not going to hold you up any further because we know Dynamite's starting right now. But we normally don't do this. But before it, because you showed so much emotion and you kept being yourself, and normally we don't do this, but we here at Ringside Society would like to send you, on behalf of myself, Rob Bass, Kathy Knight, Alicia the Warrior Princess, who's our mod, and the Survivor Queen, Miss Jen, our other mod. We would like to send you, as a token of our appreciation, an official Ringside Society shirt. Just send us an address. We'll actually send us your shirt size, because we don't want to send you something too big or too small. Just
Okay.
DM us, and we'll definitely send it out to
Okay.
you as soon as possible. But before we go and shut down the
I
show,
appreciate it.
where can fans find you on social media? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I said thank you. I truly appreciate it. It means a lot.
Hey,
Yeah,
no
social
problem,
media.
man.
Social media. It's the FMINCX, capital M, capital X. And I think, yeah, there. See, they're pointing to my name. This is like being the weatherman.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is, right next to my name, FMINCX. Yeah, that's where I'm at. So hang out if you want. But thank you guys so much for this opportunity. It was a pleasure to speak with all of you and shoot the breeze and just have a regular conversation.
Hey, no problem. Y'all definitely follow this man. He's definitely cool. And like I said, he's another fan that y'all can talk. It's always great to have somebody to talk wrestling with. So y'all definitely give this man a follow. But with that being said, to everybody that actually tuned in, thank you very much. So real quick, round the table. If you want to follow our mods on social media, you can find Alicia the Warrior Princess at Endo Survivor 282 on Instagram and Twitter. You can also find her mother on Instagram and Twitter under her Twitter's Jenlyn Bar 1, and her Instagram is Survivor Queen 424. And with that being said, Rob Bass, where can fans find you on social media if they want to talk wrestling, beyond the show, purchase merchandise, and where can bookers and promoters find you when they want to book you for their shows?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at Rob_Bass82, and then Facebook and YouTube Rob Bass.
Awesome. Kathy Knight. And where can fans find you on social media if they want to, talk wrestling, purchase merchandise beyond the show, all that good stuff?
So I'm on Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and Discord, all at BLUE70517. I just followed Frank during the show, so you got another follower. And I'll be awesome. And I'll be at Reality of Wrestling this Saturday, so come say hi. And Booker T just signed a TV deal, so that's pretty awesome. He's going national. So Reality of Wrestling might be in your market. You can watch it on TV.
Also, shout out to Roxy on signing with Ring of Honor. Roxy's our alumni guest, a wonderful young lady who has definitely shown her dedication to wrestling. And if there's anything that we here like to see, is people work hard and get rewarded for their hard work justly. And Roxy, we're definitely proud of you, and we wish you nothing but the best in Ring of Honor. Go show them why you're one of reality of wrestling's best. If you want to follow me on social media, not have anything cool to say, you can find me on Twitter under @TheRemyBlue. I'm also on Facebook under Remy Blue. You can also find our podcast on social media. We're on Instagram and Twitter under @Ringside Society. We're also on Facebook as a Facebook group. You can just type in Ringside Society and you'll find us there. We're also on Twitch under Ringside Society 2019, which is where this episode is being streamed. And we're also on YouTube. Yes, we have a YouTube channel. So feel free to subscribe to our channel. But don't just subscribe to any personalized videos. Subscribe to all, because we got a lot of cool interviews coming. We have a lot of cool interviews in the past, like with Maddie Rankowski, Jasmine Allure, and many others. So make sure you're actually subscribe to us as well. And we also have a Teespring store. Yes, Teespring. Teespring is where we sell our merch. So just go ahead, cop a shirt, cop a long sleeve shirt, a tank top, coffee mug. All proceeds go back into keeping Ringside Society afloat. But with that being said, where did Rob go? Oh, geez. All right. He must be all right. I hope he's all right. But with that being said, we here at Ringside Society just want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Really and truly appreciate you tuning in live. For those of you that are going to watch us later on by our YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch platforms, thank you in advance. Hold on. Welcome back, Rob. And to those of you that hate us, can't stand us, really and truly wish we'd go away, well, like myself at the Golden Corral, and Rob Bass at Hershey Park in Pennsylvania, and Kathy Knight at a Vignette store in New Orleans, we ain't going anywhere for a while.
They hate us because they ain't us.
And we ain't stopping. We just want everybody to know that we're very well aware that everybody and their grandparents and their parents have a podcast. We're not your grandparents' podcast. We're not your parents' podcast. As a matter of fact, we're not just any podcast. Hey, yo, Rob Bass, one time for the mind, one time for the people, one time for... I forgot, Kathy Knight. You haven't been in so long. Kathy Knight, you too. One time for the mind, one time for the people, one time for the wrestling culture, and one time for Frank M. of Chi-Town. I love that Portillo's, by the way. What type of podcast are we?
Oh, you called it Portillo's. Portillo's.
Portillo. Okay.
You don't know how
feel
many
bad.
people I've had it correct. No,
Hey,
I
I eat tacos on a corn tortilla. That's what I eat them on. I eat them on a corn tortilla.
Yeah.
You're ever out here, I'll go pick you up some Portillos.
There you go. All right.
Rob,
3.
Rob, remember this. Chocolate cake milkshake. You'll go very far.
There you go. That's right.
But yes, we're the Wrestling Fans Podcast, Ringside Society. And we'll be back this Friday with another impressive guest. As a matter of fact, our guest will be none other than JD Brady from the Nightmare Factory Class 2. He'll be our guest at that time. But until then, we're still going through a pandemic. So until it's over, stay safe, stay healthy, be excellent to each other, and party on, dudes. We out. Peace.
See y'all. Good night. Stay classy,
Thank you.
Delaware.
Bye. Enjoy Dynamite.